So you'd love to learn or improve your Spanish, but you just don't have much time. Welcome to the club. Is it possible to really see a difference in your Spanish if you can only spare 15 minutes per day? Let's talk about it. What's up, language leaders? Welcome back to another video. Or if you're new here, hello, my name is Erica. Here I publish Spanish learning strategies, stories, lessons, and listening practice to help you love, learn, and live the Spanish language far beyond the classroom. So if that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that bell and join the fam. Guys, I feel like this is a really important topic because a lack of time is one of the biggest roadblocks to learning how to do anything, and learning Spanish is definitely not the exception. And there's no way to deny the fact that learning a language takes time, and it requires for you to consistently put in that time for you to see the cumulative effects over time. In other words, time has a lot to do with it. So what could you possibly accomplish with your Spanish in 15 minutes per day? Well, first of all, I want you to know that I am referring to 15 focused minutes per day, where you're really able to pay attention to what you're doing. So we're not talking about the time that you may spend listening to Spanish during your commute or at work or while you're washing the dishes and things like that. Really 15 minutes of actual focused time. So let's get that out of the way first. So let's just see some examples of how you could spend those 15 minutes. Let's say that you have a 5-minute short story in Spanish and you have both the text and the audio to go with it, which is what I always recommend. Let's say you take the first 5 minutes to just listen to the story, see what you can pick up, see what your ear can pick up based on prior knowledge and what you already know that the story is about. And then perhaps you spend the next 5 minutes listening again, but also reading along. You're going to notice more this time. You're going to see cognates, so those words that look the same in English and Spanish. You're going to just be able to notice more while you're seeing the words written. So this will be beneficial on a different level. You're working different skills here. And let's say you spend those last 5 minutes just really trying to make sure that you understood the plot. So maybe doing some exercises as some sort of summary of the story, just to make sure that you got the point of what was happening. Now, of course, you could do that yourself. You could kind of come up with questions to ask yourself and just make sure that you understood everything, look up some unknown words, but that's going to take a little bit more time. So of course, it would be more convenient if what you're working with already comes with that. More on that later. And there went your 15 minutes. Awesome. Let's say that next day you pull out that same story. You don't want to just kind of leave it there on day one. You want to come back to it. Again, repetition is super important. Maybe you spend those first 5 minutes on day two just listening again and kind of delighting yourself with the fact that you can understand a little more than you did with that first listen on day one. But maybe you switch it up a bit, and those last 10 minutes that you have, maybe you're going to only work with the transcript, with the written version of the story this time, just so you have a little bit more time to notice things, to notice some grammar connections, patterns, and just really dive into the actual Spanish. Maybe you only have time to do that with a part of your 5-minute story and not with all of it, but that may be what you decide to do with your 15 minutes on day two. On day three, maybe you decide, I've spent a couple of really good days with input. I really want to kind of focus on the output today with some writing. So you may choose to write about what you read, reword it a little bit, or write something that's completely your own, but making use of the vocabulary perhaps that you've learned from the story so far. After you write your paragraph or two, maybe you decide to read it out loud to get that speaking in. And that will probably take up your entire 15 minutes that day. This is just an example, of course, but in those 3 days, you only spent 15 minutes a day. You got in all 4 fundamental aspects of language with your listening, reading, writing, and speaking. You worked with a little bit of grammar, with some vocabulary. You worked on a little bit of pronunciation while you were reading your writing out loud. But best of all, you stayed consistent for 3 days in a row, and we're going to hope that that consistency continues day after day. Do not underestimate the power of super short but consistent sessions like that. They can do a lot of good. Recently, one of our members of our newest Spanish course for intermediates, Caminos, which by the way has everything that we just mentioned already built into it, the review, the grammar, everything you need, she mentioned the following about how the 15 minutes is working for her. Among all of the other lovely things that she wrote, she said, I joined Erica's new intermediate learners course. I love it. The lessons can be done in small bites, so 15 minutes is typically all it takes unless I decide to dive deeper. That's a good point. You can always decide to go a little deeper with what you're learning, but you're not obligated to. I'm just finishing the first story and feel like I've already learned so much. Plus, not having to choose what I do each day feels like a weight has been lifted from my shoulders. 15 minutes, guys, that is it. So can you accomplish a ton of beneficial Spanish work in 15 minutes per day? Absolutely. Now, is 15 literal minutes in total forever the amount that I recommend that you spend with Spanish? Well, no, but hear me out here. What is the hardest part about establishing any new routine? Let's say a new morning workout routine. Is it really the time involved? Is it really that taking a 30-minute walk in the mornings is so much harder than doing just 15? Is it really that spending 45 minutes in the gym is that much harder than spending 20, 25 if you're already there? No. The hardest part is likely getting up out of bed on time with enough time to be able to even start your workout routine, getting dressed, throwing on your shoes, brushing your teeth, all of these things that have nothing to do with your actual workout. But if you get up and just get started, everything else after that is a little easier, isn't it? Speaking from experience here. And once you're up with your shoes on, the possibilities are pretty much endless from there. I know that for me, if I make it to that point, very few things are going to stop me. At that point, I'm already ready to go. The fact is that when you get started and when you get into a routine, it's so much easier to actually end up spending more time than you even planned on in the first place. So if you commit to spending 15 minutes per day on your Spanish actively, and these are well-rounded minutes, so over the course of a week, let's say, make sure that you're getting in several sessions of listening, reading, writing, and speaking. Make sure that it's well-rounded. Well, what's going to happen? Your skills will improve, and they will improve to the point where you're enjoying more and more what you're doing because it's easier for you. You're going to just naturally spend more time because you want to. You're going to finally get that confidence that you need to start having half an hour, an hour-long tutoring sessions where you're just in a conversation speaking because your skills are growing and that's just more fun for you now. And all of that time that you do spend with your passive Spanish, which I highly recommend you include as well. So do take that time to listen to Spanish, for example, while you're working, while you're doing the dishes, while you're doing whatever else. You're going to understand it more. And so that time, even that downtime, we could say, is going to be that much more productive. You're going to start to seek out opportunities around you to use your Spanish when maybe you were fearful before, just because you're having more fun with it and your skills are growing. A little bit of consistency just leads to this constant spiral of really good things happening. So what happens is that now you're spending several hours per week on your Spanish, but you're not even feeling that. You're just kind of living your life. And the only thing that you have to make sure that you do is spend those focused 15 minutes a day. It is so interesting to me that the question of how long, how much time are among the most common questions that I receive. Erica, how long did it take you to learn Spanish? How long is it going to take me? How long to go from beginner to intermediate? How long to go from intermediate to advanced? How much time per day? I cannot answer most of those questions for you because it depends on so many factors. But I can tell you that the person who is consistent with the right things will get there. They always do. And guys, isn't it true that often when we are asking how long is this going to take, it's because we're not planning on enjoying it? I mean, how often do we say, yeah, friend, I'd love to go to the movies with you, but is this like a 90-minute movie? Or is it pushing 2 hours? I really need to know. Sure, honey. Yeah, we can go to dinner, but do you have like a time estimate of how long we're going to be at the restaurant? And I wonder how many hours I'm actually going to spend on the beach today while I'm on vacation. Aren't those questions that we just don't normally ask? Because we're not thinking about the finish line. We don't really care about the finish line. We know that it's an activity that we're going to have fun with and enjoy. So who's thinking about it ending? I want you to try to treat Spanish in a similar way. I know that it's different, and I know that it takes work, and also especially those of you coming from a very academic way of learning Spanish from school, it just seems like another school subject. That's why I work so hard really on this channel to get you to think about it differently and to really love the language, because having fun with it is the only way that you're going to learn it. Stop thinking so much about the finish line, because there is no finish line. I learn new Spanish all the time, so where is my finish line? It doesn't exist. Enjoy the process, enjoy the journey. Now, if you've been at this for a little while and you are at that upper beginner intermediate level, and you want a plan that's designed for consistency that you don't have to create yourself, that's only going to take about 15 minutes per day, and that is as close as you can get to enjoying your learning so much that you're not even thinking about the time, then I want to help you. I want to invite you to take some time to join me on my workshop specifically for intermediates. We're going to talk about what you're doing now while you're probably wasting so much time, and how you can drastically improve your Spanish in just 15 minutes a day using stories. And I'll introduce you to my newest program designed for intermediates, created to help you do just that. You can click the link below or go to ericaraylanguage.com/intermediate workshop. I can't wait for you to be the next success story. I'll see you there. Until then, don't forget to go out and live your new language today. Hasta la próxima.